Motorcycle fans, it's Clay Baker here with Moto Nexus, and we've got something really special. There's going to be just a few cars to look at, along with some really amazing motorcycles. And I am here with Robbie Cadwallader, who is the lead on the Scotts Valley Motorcycle Show. And Robbie, where are we at?
We are at Canapa Motorsports here in Scotts Valley.
Intense, OCD, kind of full speed all the time. And, you know, I have a serious passion for cars. Of course, at the top of that list is Porsche. It always has been.
And anybody that comes to our show in July is welcome to come up through the museum and take a gander at some of the beautiful, beautiful cars that Bruce has here on display in his museum.
I think once you see what's here, we're going to take you for a little tour around the upstairs part of the museum. You'll drive from all over to come to the Scotts Valley Motorcycle Show this July on Saturday. It's the 26th?
The 26th of July, yes.
Okay. So, Robbie, take us around the museum.
So Bruce is a Porsche aficionado, as you can see. He has different flavors of Porsche race cars from past to present. He's also a big motorcycle fan, NASCAR fan, drag racing fan, and he has a little bit of everything for you to look at here in the museum here in Scotts Valley.
Let's take I see a little Indian in the background. Maybe we can go take a look at that.
Yeah, that Indian is, I believe, a little hill climber. I'm not sure on the date of the bike, but it's very, very nice.
Got to make sure we take care of our motorcycle fans. And that's a gravity racer.
It's a gravity racer
From
that
Volvo.
Volvo built, and Bruce acquired it.
See if we can see inside. Oh my gosh. And we think this is a Buddy Baker?
I believe so. I think this might have been a number 21 car, could have been owned by the Wood brothers, who was very famous in NASCAR to this very day.
Allison was running second to David Pearson, another tough, shrewd driver with more than 50 victories behind him. Allison and Pearson locked horns in one of the most amazing battles in stock car history. Finally, Allison took the lead, and 100 miles later, the victory. Today, Pearson's driving the fastest qualifier. It's time to go racing.
We've been waiting for. Gentlemen, start your engine.
44 engines thunder to life. Leading the field from the inside of the first row, David Pearson, who qualified at more than 150 miles an hour. Next to him,
Bruce is also very instrumental in collecting old sprint cars and Indy cars, as you can see.
All right, so Robbie, you got to tell us just a little bit why you know so much about these cars. You spent a little time here.
Yes, I used to work for Bruce. Actually, him and I have a pretty good relationship. I've known Bruce ever since kindergarten, and we went all through school together. He's always been a car guy. We used to build model cars together. And as time went on, he really collected a lot of beautiful historic race cars and has a very, very nice reputation of restorations here at his shop. He does Porsches, he does Mercedes.
And so you've had your hand into a few of these cars?
Yes, I did, actually. When I worked for Bruce before I retired, I was involved with the number 42 Richard Petty Torino, which he raced at Riverside and actually won, and then the only Ford that he drove back in the day.
We'll take a look.
This is one of Don Perdome's cars that he drove. I believe it was one of the only 427 Fords that was out on the circuit at the time. Most of them were blown Chryslers, like Don Garlitz used to race, but Bruce restored this car back to its original paint, engine, just like it was raced back in the 60s and 70s.
What do we got over here? Because I see some really cool bikes in the background. I'm looking at a Norton, and it looks like a Harley XR 750.
That was one of Scotty Parker's bikes that Bruce had acquired. And I believe this is a Norton Manx. I'm not
Yep.
sure,
Yep.
but I believe it's a Norton Manx.
It sure is. And it is pristine. This would definitely win at any show. A sprint car. Here's our XR.
XR 750.
Yep. And we've got the Parker helmet with signatures.
I think each race is you got to weigh your factors and go with your instincts the last 10 seconds. You know, as you run it down that back straightaway, you decide what you're going to do and go for it. I think if you set yourself in a mode to say this is the way I'm going to win this thing, then you'll get beat more than when you just wait to that last 10 seconds and decide.
Last lap, and the pack shrunk to only 2 bikes. The number 1 Honda of Bubba Schobert and Parker's number 11 Harley. 10 seconds to go, and Parker came up short, but not by very much. In fact, it took a review of the start-finish videotape by AMA officials to finally declare Schobert the winner. Even though Parker lost at Springfield, it was now a foregone conclusion that Scott Parker and his Harley-Davidson were in a championship mode. Schobert and the Honda were no longer head and shoulders above the competition. It was going to be a war till the end.
Yeah, these are a collection of sprint cars that used to, when you qualified for Indianapolis, you were actually a sprint car driver also. And some of these cars went both ways, on the dirt tracks, on the mile tracks, and also qualified for the Indianapolis 500 in the early 60s.
We've got an Indian board track racer. This is definitely not a Ford display only bike. This is the real thing. Often at the auctions, we see board track racers that are display only, and the assumption is most of them don't even have internal components in the motors, that they're really just, you know, to look at.
Just display models.
This,
only.
yeah, this is clearly a real racer.
This one actually has a Offenhauser motor in it, which was pretty typical of the early 60s roadsters that they used to run at the Indianapolis 500.
There's a little eye candy, huh? All right, now we're into some stock cars here. Wow.
One of the Chevrolets that Dale Earnhardt used to drive
Yeah.
for Richard Childress Racing, I believe.
Yeah, the number 3 on a GM car tells you right away who drove this, right?
Mhm.
Hold on, we've got a beautiful Triumph over here.
I believe this is a mid-60s Triumph TT Special.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. So unlike most of us who have our collections in sheds and barns and stuffed into our garages wherever we can put them, we have this just stunning museum display to enjoy all these vehicles in. This is really incredible. It just applause to Bruce Canepa for putting this together. Another Triumph.
Another Triumph, yep.
This one's set up for
Looks
dirt
like
track
for,
racing.
Dirt track or TT racing.
TT probably, yeah.
Something that you'd see in the early 60s down at Ascot Park in Gardena, California.
Right, right.
This is the very famous SoCal Coupe. This is a land speed car built specifically to go fast on the salt. I believe this is an early BSA Gold Star right
It
here.
sure is.
Beautiful bike.
Yeah,
Nothing like the sound of an old thumper.
no. We got an early sprint car.
This is one of Bruce's very first sprint cars. I believe it was a Maxus chassis. I'm not for certain, but I helped crew on this car back in the early 70s at Calistoga, and it was sold and gone for many, many years. Bruce found it, I believe, in Tennessee, brought it back and restored it to his original colors.
Let's have a look inside. People can see what it's like to crawl into one of these cars. Wow, that's tight. Look at that. Now here's a car you worked on.
Yeah, before I retired from Canfield Motorsports, one of my assignments was to put this car back together. This is a Ford Torino that Richard Petty drove to, I believe, the only victory was at Riverside, California.
Officials, Richard Petty has recorded the day's highest trap speed, an unbelievable 143.26 miles an hour. This is the fastest Motor Trend 500 in history. Petty is setting new records on every lap. Right now, he's running 5 miles an hour faster than last year's record. Clue number 43 Ford through turn 9 and down the straight for the checkered flag.
And I believe it was the only Ford that he actually won in. But it's a beautiful restoration, gorgeous car. And I believe it was pretty fast back in the day, too.
I just love the lines of these old Torinos. I mean, it's just so long. The car goes on forever. But you know, back in the day, this was incredibly aerodynamic.
Absolutely. This is a little Fiat Abarth. They called it a double bubble because the roof had a little double bubble on it for the driver's head. And I believe Bruce acquired this from a good friend of mine, and it's been up here at the museum ever since.
Oh, a Greaves.
Yeah, this is an early Greaves Challenger, I believe somewhere around 65, 66. Very popular. Bert Greaves back in the Great Britain was the designer of this. And you notice the leading link front end. It doesn't have telescopic forks.
Right. And weight was not a consideration when they built this bike.
True.
Look at this gorgeous car. Is that a Gurney Eagle?
This is one of Dan Gurney's, what they call the shark nose Eagle.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. There's the shark nose.
And this is all hand-formed aluminum. No fiberglass on this car.
Look at that.
This car probably would have run Indianapolis, I would say probably mid-60s to, oh gosh, probably early 70s.
Now, for those of you who don't remember, the street version of this car was one of the most sought-after muscle cars of the day. Here's some fun stuff over here. This is where most professional racers start, is in one of these.
Yeah, this is a typical shifter cart. Probably a 125, I would imagine.
Now, I know you're going to have something to say about this because you were a Bull Taco racer.
And still am a Bull Taco racer. This is a 1971 Model 68 that Bull Taco built. Commonly known as the boat tail. And
for that,
Bull Taco used a lot of fiberglass back in the day for weight savings. This particular bike, before they went to chromoly tubing, was regular mild steel. That's the only thing that really hurt them because they were a little heavy. But as far as the geometry of the frame, Bull Taco really hit a home run on this bike because even to this day, these bikes handle very, very nicely in vintage form racing. It's a 250cc 5-speed engine and very iconic, very sought after. I saw a few of them at the Mecum auction for sale, and they bring a nice price nowadays, if you can find them.
They do. They bring really good money. We recently sold a Persang 360 on Moto Nexus, got a really good price for that. These vintage Bull Taco motocrossers are much in demand with collectors, but also with the Arma and vintage motocross riders and people who just want to get back to that original feel and with simpler technology.
I believe this is a 962 Rothmans. Gorgeous car. Probably would have run at Le Mans.
Now, would this be a Can-Am car? This one?
I've seen this car probably run at Laguna Seca.
Okay.
In the Can-Am series back when unlimited cubic inches were allowed. And I believe this is a 917. Very, very fast car. Bruce could tell you this car probably is 230 mile an hour plus.
These were basically the same chassis as the coupe you just saw, but the Can-Am version is wider because it has wider wheels and tires, a wider body. It has a twin turbo engine making over 1,200 horsepower. These cars, even by today's standards, are some of the fastest race cars of all time. They're 0 to 100 in 2.8 seconds. They were 0 to 150 in 5.5 seconds. And they're 0 to 200 in 10.8 seconds. And there's just not much that competes with that in terms of performance, not even today. And of course, today cars have changed because of safety standards and all kinds of other restrictions. And in this era, there was basically no rules, that you could kind of race whatever you could imagine.
All aluminum chassis.
All right, this next car needs no introduction. The Golf 917. In those iconic colors. That's just gorgeous.
Beautiful, beautiful car.
So for those of you too young to know, Steve McQueen drove one of these in the movie Le Mans. And is undoubtedly one of the most iconic race cars of all time.
934, actually. And,
well, we'll be technically correct. I think it's 934 and a half.
Yeah.
And, oh, I see a Husqvarna that we missed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I believe this model, if you're motorcycle aficionados who have watched the movie on any Sunday, I believe this is the model that Steve McQueen rode in that movie.
And I think Malcolm Smith as well.
Malcolm Smith. Because Malcolm Smith was a Husqvarna dealer, which turned into KTM dealer too.
Right.
Little RSR here, very, very nice. Great colors.
This would be fun to go get the milk in.
Oh boy.
And then I see one more really interesting car right here. And those tires make me think this is made for dirt roads. What am I looking at here, Robbie?
Well, this is one of Bruce's Pikes Peak hill climb cars. Powered with a Porsche, and I believe the chassis was built by Newman Drager, if I'm correct. And I believe he still holds a record in this car. When Pikes Peak was dirt, I believe it's paved now.
So this is on the first floor, and just a few more vehicles to look at. These are all vehicles that are for sale. So come on down, make your dreams come true at Canapa Design.
Creme de la creme. I can sneak you into a behind the scenes of how the shop works, and we're on our way.
Oh boy, here we go. There's a secret door at the back here. Oh my God. Okay, I'm in heaven now. Here, Robbie, I'll just give you the phone. I'm gone. I'm not leaving. Have a look, guys. Is that amazing? I see a little Ferrari Dino down there, several Porsches. Look at that gorgeous car right there. Whew. There's no Ford Pintos in here, unless it's a Pro Street. Look at the Bronco. These are really, the vintage Broncos and Scouts are really popular now. And I see a beautiful classic Porsche in the background. My brother had one of those back in the 60s.
Hey, Chris.
I think
How you doing, my friend?
that might be an Alfa Romeo. Look at this beautiful shop.
Still here after all those years, huh?
And I see some race cars in the background. Robbie, thanks so much.
Oh, you're quite
This was
welcome.
really special. Robbie, thank you so much. That was a kick. This is a fantastic museum. You got to get out here July 26th. It's a Saturday for the Scotts Valley Motorcycle Concours and Swap Meet. And come on over, see the museum. Who knows? You might even bump into Bruce Canapa. But you'll definitely bump into the two of us.
Yeah, we'll be there for sure. But the museum here is only like a mile down the road from where our show is going to be. Come a day early, enjoy this. There's plenty of stuff to do here in Scotts Valley and surrounding areas. We have the boardwalk, and it should be a lot of fun for everybody.
You can make a vacation out of just a long weekend here in Scotts Valley. You're halfway between the coast and Santa Cruz and over the hill to San Jose, Los Gatos. Those areas. Come on over, have a fantastic time, and we'll see you in July.